Welcome, everybody, to the Green Team of the Legendarium podcast. Today, we're discussing Saga, Volume 10, the long-awaited. And with me today, I have BefuddledPanda.
Hello.
Kyptan.
Heyo.
And Mr. Anderson.
Hello.
And I am your host, Yettibeats. And before we get started, because I forget every time, please go to the Legendarium's Discord, where we all reside and argue with each other and hug each other virtually. And, you know, it's a very positive place with fun stuff. So, especially if you love Saga. Yeah. Are you showing me pictures, Kip?
It's a puzzle.
Origami? Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were like speaking in code for something I missed.
No.
Yes, so please join us for the discussion and a warm atmosphere. So we're back after, I can't remember the last time we did Saga, but Volume 10, I think, released in full in October, and the issues were released all throughout last year, and we decided to, wait until the whole volume was in it, which I respect for each of us, huh?
Yes. I cannot handle those cliffhangers.
Some of them are rough.
Mm-hmm.
Although I feel like an episode and issue would be a little bit much.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. I feel like we complain more in those because we'd be like, oh, this episode, or this, one didn't have much going on in it or something.
This
Yeah.
cliffhanger.
Yeah, right. It's like, instead of one big cliffhanger, it's like 6. So first, we'll just start with our spoiler-free thoughts and kind of what our expectations were going into this one, and maybe even just talk about if you guys thought it was different from reading 3 in a row, like how we previously did 3 volumes in a row to just this one. So first off, let's start with Kip, since you literally just finished it 5 minutes ago. Why don't you give us your thoughts?
Oh, come on. I finished it 20 minutes ago. But 20. No, I finished it like 45 minutes ago-ish. I thought that they were doing one at a time was real easy, and that's kind of why I put it off, because I just rip through these as I go, and I was afraid that if I did that too soon, too far away from the recording, I would forget most of what happened. Because really it was like 40, not even 40 minutes of reading, and like that's not enough time for me to sink into, okay, I'm going to remember all of this and be able to recall it at a much later date. That's not enough time.
You mean you weren't just going to reread it every week until we record?
I was just going to say that. You could have read it last week, and then the episode would be coming up. You're like, I'm going to reread it right before it happens.
I don't know if I don't. This, as willing as I would be to forget it, or at least as willing as my subconscious would be to forget it, it would also remember all of the traumatic little bits in it and be afraid to reread it quickly.
That's fair.
Mr. Anderson, what about you?
I liked when Kyptan just said traumatic little bits. That seems to be a lot of what this issue was about. It felt almost like a soft reset. Like we obviously had a big upheaval at the end of the last part. And it seems like they're trying to set up what's going to happen next now. And then obviously throwing in all the graphic, disturbing things that that Saga does.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. I didn't know. I kind of felt the same, but I didn't know if that was because we just, like, it was the first time I've long waited a new volume that it felt like a reset, or because it was intentional, like you said. But I did get that feeling too. Panda, what about you? You're the first one to read it out of all of us.
I was. That was a surprise. But yeah, I mean, I agree with what Mr. Anderson said. Like, there were a lot of new characters that were introduced. I mean, obviously there were the old characters that we already knew, but there were a lot of new ones, and it was just like rediscovering the world again. And with the ending of the first half of this whole series, like it did feel like there was a completion of an arc, like an overarching arc, and then now there's a new one that has started. And we'll see where it goes because it's very emotional, especially the way that there was this one pain, like how it illustrated like what happened and what is happening. I was like, that is really mean. That is very rude. But we'll get to it in the spoiler section.
Oh yeah. Kip, I didn't really give you, did you have thoughts, like spoiler-free thoughts on this, just in general of this volume?
Is there vacuum in this world? Like, is space a vacuum? Because some of these like ship designs,
We talked about this.
they do not seem to be sealed.
Science fantasy. Emphasis on the fantasy.
Yep. Okay.
They've got
think
those
the
air
spaceships-
barrier things.
Yeah, the ships are really just more for transportation rather than like protection from space.
I mean, this one was really pushing it. This one just looked.
This one was
solely
really
designed.
pushing it. It's a collection of disparate objects that don't even look connected.
Gravitational force?
Like when they showed the inside of it, I'm like, that makes no sense from the outside of it. I was like, where's
Yep. Makes no sense.
But the beauty of Saga. For me, I liked. I feel like you guys would agree that like every volume kind of has. It seems like the author and the artist are picking like a theme to go through it. Like the one was very political. I think it was like very like abortion was a big thing, and they each have their own theme. And I thought this one was pretty clear, kind of what the theme was. I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler, but I would say grief is like a big. To me, it stuck out that. If that's a spoiler, I'll bleep that. But that seems
grief just seems like a constant in this series.
Yeah, to an extent, but I feel like this one really honed in on it and just like different ways people grapple with it and how it hits them. Maybe because of the end of volume 9, it was more prevalent in our characters' lives or more personal. But I thought that was just kind of what stuck out to me. It was like, oh, each one of these issues is kind of based on that, and then it culminates in like literally the final two like pains.
Yep.
So,
I agree.
which in any story, grief and sadness is like shoot it right into my veins. Skip didn't know.
You are a
I'll see you on the Robin Hood
fanboy.
Yeah. All right. So I think we should dive into this will probably be a shorter episode because we're only doing one volume, but short and sweet, and I think we should get it to the spoilers. And yeah, so what I figured we just go around and bring up, either we can do 1 or 2 points, but go to each one of us and what you guys wanted to bring up as a talking point in the volume first. Whatever stuck out to you, and we can go from there. So if anyone wants to volunteer, if not, I can go, but Kyptan, you look like zoned in on something.
I'm just thinking someone else should go first. Because I'm hurting from this episode, from this volume.
Well, I'll go because since I have something. I'll just start off from where I guess I was left off. So I kind of wanted to talk about Hazel and Squire, and particularly the way they both deal with grief. And Squire lost his dad. What's it, Prince Robot?
The 4th.
And the 4th, I couldn't remember what number. And Hazel obviously lost her dad, Marco. And I thought it was interesting that, the author chose to have Squire become essentially a mute. He doesn't speak anymore. And that's how he's dealing with his father's death. And Hazel is acting like, essentially on the outside, that nothing really happened. And is still kind of bottling it up, but just from every frame and picture we see, she's still running around, causing mischief and having fun and playing music, and it all kind of bubbles over until the end when their spaceship bursts into flames, and there's that panel where she just has these flashbacks of her dad and her on the spaceship, and I thought that was just a really well written way that people process grief. Some shut down totally, and some it hits them like a wave where something just clicks and a bubble bursts, and it's kind of uncontrollable. So, did you? I don't know, Panda. What did you think about just dealing with the loss of Marco, in particular with his daughter?
Yeah, I think Hazel, the way that she was dealing with it, I mean, I agree with what you said, where she was like really bottling it up. And on the outside, she was putting up this like really brave front. Like she wanted to, I think it was a conversation with Bombazine, a new character that was introduced. She was like, I'm gonna be strong, and I'm gonna do all these things. Um, and then Squire is like, he's in therapy. He's
Right.
working with a therapist to try to recover and process from his trauma. And I think part of it is like the age difference between the two. And also, Squire, like, his like, the very short amount of growing up that he got to do um, on that one planet, it was like pretty isolated, and he didn't have as many people around, whereas Hazel had a lot of people constantly around her, and I think that probably contributed to how they're both like reacting to the grief and processing.
Squire needs Goose back in his life.
I know there was not
Everyone needs
enough.
Goose back in their life.
Yes, that was like one of my major complaints, is there was not enough Goose in this volume.
Not a fan of how it's setting us up for a Goose versus Gale showdown.
Oh
win.
my goodness.
Goose is the true hero of this saga.
He's a good boy.
He is a good boy, and Gale is not.
No.
Yeah, definitely setting up Gale to be number one on the most hateable list in this.
Is it not number one?
You don't think? I mean, he's setting him up. If he kills Goose, he hops the will, and everyone. I'm sorry.
I think so.
Yeah, Mr. Anderson, what do you think about, I guess, Hazel and Squire and their grief?
I definitely agree, but it was also interesting to see like King Robot and how he processed everything.
Oh yeah.
How Ilana, we only really saw her processing it in like that flashback scene, but how she was kind of dealing with it. So I definitely agree we got to see how everyone was dealing with these deaths from different perspectives, different ways of dealing with it throughout the volume. Then I had another thought, but I forgot it now.
I will say, I always laugh at Prince Robot's dad's massive face screen.
Yeah. It's hard to take him seriously when he's like, don't kill everyone, and he's a giant head. But
Yeah.
Also,
like
did they
a
have
Funko Pop.
teleportation, or was that like a hologram?
I couldn't tell because he was like shimmering. Yeah, the art. I assumed it was a hologram because he kind
I
of
thought it was
popped up.
hologram.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alana ends up shaving her hair, even though, I mean, she said it was fleas, but I don't know. I don't know if I buy it.
I don't know if I buy it either.
No, you don't think so? I just assumed she laid, him and her and the dog hooked up, and then you lay with the dog, you get
Oh,
fleas.
oh my
Isn't that the saying?
god.
And then
I
she
see,
just had to
I
shave
see.
it.
Okay.
I'm gonna
That
say
makes a lot
no
more
because
sense.
if that happened, they would have showed it in like a full 2-page.
Would
panel,
they?
so.
Would they,
I
or
don't
did
know.
they just
Good
want the
point.
joke?
Oh
Definitely
my
not
goodness, I can't
shy
believe
in
I did not
showing
get
those
that.
Yeah, Kip, what did you think? Did you think this was any more out of the ordinary with the grief, or you think this permeates throughout the whole series, I guess?
I think it goes through the whole series. I mean, we didn't get time really to grieve in the last volume. So this is our first moment with this particular aspect of grief. So you could say that it is the theme of the volume, but I would be more inclined to say it's just the natural progression of happening right after volume 9.
I guess it's also more like major characters have died, so the grief is more impactful.
Yeah. If you're going to say, if I was going to say what the theme of this with this volume was, I would say that it's the idea of stories and ideas living beyond their creators. And then also, as in the case of the tree, dying and not that being the end of it. There's no more starship trees.
Wait. Okay. Do you guys really think that there are no more, or is there going to be like, oh, the ship actually like planted a bunch of seeds
under?
Yeah, and started a new forest?
In one volume, I think Alana picks a seed, like has a seed from the ship. Now, I don't know how fast, if she planted one of those, how fast they grow into a full-grown ship. But I'm pretty sure they do say, like in previous issues, that it has seeds. But
yeah,
I don't think that it's necessarily the end of the line, but it is definitely the end of the line for that particular batch of ships, because that had been the one that was saved from the carpet bomb. And it was the only one remaining there in the nursery at that time. But of course, previous generations of ships had been grown. And maybe seeds.
Hazel says that pirate ship is like where they spent some of their best moments. So
yeah, but Hazel can say that about like one day she spent somewhere.
In her life, the best moments are few and far between. So.
It's true.
Oh, so sad.
All right. Yeah. How about Panda? What did you want to talk about? Anything specifically from this volume?
Yes. But before I get there, I do have to say, like, how emotional I got when I saw the rocket ship burst in it, like, on fire. I was so upset. And, like, partially it's, like, the lead up to that scene where, Hazel sees the flashbacks, but it's, like, I love that ship so much.
Yeah.
Like, it was what kept them safe, and I love those characters, and I was just like, no, and it's such a cool concept. Anyway, so that was very unexpected, emotional punch. And
you're
then,
right. It was like a sense of home too. Like
yeah,
we always had everything that was going on. At least they always had that treehouse spaceship to fall back on. That was like a
right.
sense of like home. Now for us as readers, we're kind of like anything, like anywhere is new, and there's just no safety kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And the cops definitely did it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They said next time you come around here, we're gonna burn your home. They set that up, I feel like.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're saying the cops with the fire hand set fire to the tree?
Takes a real detective to finish this.
Real subtle. Real subtle. Definitely some of Saga's most subtle work.
So the point I wanted to bring up was, I don't know, Kip, you had mentioned like walking back sexual harassment or sexual assault. Or the threat of
it anyways,
assault.
yeah.
Were you talking about the pirate captain?
Skipper. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I was not a fan of that scene and that sequence where he threatens to like harm the kids, and then
sexual assault to the point of death is what he threatened to the kids. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that issue ends with a huge pain of him saying, "Oh, I guess I should have thrown a trigger warning." And I was like,
yep.
that is not to me,
He also called her
I'm
a
like,
snowflake.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm glad you
I
guys
was
brought
like,
that
what are
up.
you
Yeah.
doing? Why do you have to put this in here? So I was not a fan of that part.
That actually took me out of the story. He said, "Yep, trigger warning, snowflake, and I think woke. I think was used in one of them too." And all three of them was like, "That why are those terms in like a fantasy story?"
Why
Not
are those terms in this world? Yeah.
right. Yeah. Not that I have any problem with them in general. It's just like yeah. I'm glad you. I totally forgot about that, Panda, until you brought that up. It was so. I'd like to. I'd wonder if we were the only ones who had a problem with that, or just thought it was out of place.
Feel like that was more probably like overtly a response to maybe criticisms that the series has gotten, where it's
True,
like,
yeah.
oh, it's too gratuitous, like this is such a violent blah blah blah. And he's like, well, I guess I should have given you a trigger warning. I think it wasn't directed necessarily to like us as the readers who love the series, but to critics. But for me, I'm like, I don't want to read that part. It's not, it doesn't fit.
It felt like he was trying to establish the Skipper as a very particular kind of character.
Mm,
But it was
Too quickly.
It wasn't woven into the story.
mm,
No.
It was like he was trying to put like a name tag on it more than establish the character.
got it.
Yeah, you're right, Panda. I feel like he was speaking to like critics, and I don't, in general, don't really like that. I feel like that's kind of beneath him, where it's like your work kind of speaks for itself. No one, I don't think anyone's accusing you.
I don't necessarily think he was speaking to critics, but I do think that he was definitely speaking to current topics using current language, and
Yeah.
that's not allegory anymore.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess so. Like current topics, but the proceeding was just this villain saying he's going to rape children and murder them, which I'm, not saying it's not
Yep.
current, but it just, I don't know. To me, it felt more like, hey, Saga has extreme things that happen in here, and this character is going to voice that. Oh, sorry, is that too much for you? Like just because it came right after that line, so to speak.
Yeah.
That it felt.
Also,
That's why I felt like it was addressing.
if you made it to volume 10, like you know what to expect from the series. Anyway.
I don't know. It felt like the nudity ratio was up.
All right. So, Kip, what point did you have?
We just talked about one of mine. I thought it was fun to see Hazel form a band, kind of,
Yeah.
and get angry about not being able to do C major chords.
That really spoke to you, the difficulty it is.
Yep.
What do you think he was trying to say by that? That it's good to have passions, like healthy passions, or the importance of like art in the world, or just it's. I was trying to think that why.
Definitely the importance of art as like a communicative force that doesn't really require education. It can just reach out to someone listening to a jukebox in a restaurant and grab them and immediately differentiate generations.
True. I like that whole sequence,
That was fun. And also, I had a point, but I completely just blanked on it.
And also, like, I don't think up until this point we've seen Hazel really have like a passion. You know what I mean? Not that I can remember. So it was interesting to see something that really kind of gripped her. Although I liked, there's a funny line where I guess Squire was playing the drums, and the one person's like, "Oh, this guy's a machine," and then he's like, "Not an ethnic insult, just." So that was a good bit. That was a good bit. A little joke there.
There was also a bit of language policing with slur lame.
Right. Yeah. What was it? Ableist. Hey, let's not be ableist here.
Ableist language. Yeah.
That was funny.
Right around that area it brings me back to what I was thinking of. Lame, ableist language.
Bombazil.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing multiple times and expecting different results, and redefining that as the definition of practice as well.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yep.
Because it's true. It is so true.
Yeah, I mean that, but no one. That's the first time I've ever seen it like used as a positive, so to speak, or that's how you get better
Yeah.
at something.
Look, I'm going to practice this solo, and one day I'm going to get it right.
Muscle memory.
Yeah. Beat Saber.
Yeah, that I don't know. It's weird. Those sections are weirdly important, and I feel like Vaughan's really good at just importing like things where they're learning how to play the guitar or have a band or whatever. But and story wise, it's not like super integral to the plot, but it'll have those lines like Kip just said that make the story just that much more impactful, and special, so to speak. So yeah, that's definitely a good section. Mr. Anderson, what'd you got?
Yeah, this isn't like a deep thought. I just like the
Sure.
whole like band with the angry skipper dynamic that was going on. They leave over like creative differences, and it's just kind of fun.
Songwriting credits. They're important.
Yeah.
I assume we see that crew back eventually, right? That
At
whole
least the ones
pirate.
who left. I don't think they've gone anywhere. So
I
and
mean,
they're
yeah, 'cause we
picking
know
off
war
the
crime
planet's gone.
is that person.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, we can skip. You can speak to that ship. The pirate ship is literally just like a big skull.
Gotta come back, right?
Yeah. Well, even I looked at
Assuming
the,
it is.
yeah, I even looked at that and I'm like, how does that work? Are they breathing doors?
They breathe through the mouth, obviously.
Right.
Did feel weird. I keep in my notes. I always refer to him as Boz, but
I think it's like
No.
Bombazil or
Bombzazil. Whatever. Boz. He it just felt kind of weird because he kind of came into this. Now we're 10 issues in, and he's supposed to have this big like emotional impact. You know, there's this big drama about what he did in his past, and that felt a little not forced, just like I don't know how to describe it. It felt like too much too soon for a new character in this already pretty extensive story.
Bombazine.
Bombazine. I do agree to an extent. I was more worried. I thought he was like because I only saw the cover, obviously, before we read it, and I'm like, oh, did she already find a partner already? And like they're doing a stepdad angle. So when we first see him, he's like, I'm her husband. I'm like, oh boy, I'm still getting
I
over
thought the
Marco.
same thing. I was like, oh god.
Can't be having this. But then you find I like the dynamic a little bit better, where he's kind of like her number two, and he still has a relationship. But yeah, it's like them saying goodbye to each other wasn't as impactful because we just barely really didn't get to know him as much. Though I was intrigued with his backstory. Did anyone put together anything about his backstory? I noticed.
Not particularly.
I'm assuming he
I'm
killed kids.
Lots of questions. Yeah.
So he
Worse than killing, I think.
Yeah, probably worse than kill.
Bombazil, they said like when he was being confronted about his past, his name was like La Bosili.
Butcher.
Yes,
In
so
Spanish or something, but
yeah. So which every what do they call it? Assassins?
Oh,
or,
that's I didn't think of that.
they all start with the will, the. So I
Oh,
think
a
that's what he
freelancer?
was. Yeah, freelancer. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking. He's some sort of
Oh.
freelancer. But that's all I really got it. The butcher, yeah. So, which we got to be seeing more of him. I mean, he's not gone from the story.
Yeah.
Probably.
Do you think it's gonna be like him, Bombazine, and the Will going up against each other? I would like that.
Yeah, we got a little bit of the Will. I am curious where he's. So he's carrying around Marco's skull. How dare him, first of all.
Yeah, rude.
Yeah, and Gwendolyn's super excited and very horny that
That
her
was
ex-boyfriend died.
so weird.
It's very weird. Very weird.
Saga for you.
I do not like Gwendolyn.
No.
Yeah, I assume I assume they meet up with Bombazil and he gets recognized by other freelancers or something of that sort, you know.
That
But-
scene where Gwendolyn and the Will were going at it, and then it was
Mm.
focused on Marco's skull. That was the scene where I was like, "This is so rude."
Disturbing. Yeah, that was, and there's I think Lion Cat likes to watch. I'm like, how dare you? Don't speak.
Yeah,
for
that
Lion
was.
Cat.
There was a lot of weird in that sequence.
Mm.
How did you like that lion cats aren't allowed around royalty in the Robot Kingdom?
It makes sense to me.
Makes sense to me too.
Uh-huh.
Why is it? Just because they're scared of them, or because they don't like them knowing the truth? Or just
Because they
Yeah.
lie so
Because
much.
The royalty
right.
lies so much.
That's right. I get it. Yeah, it was good. Can we talk about? So we get to see Clara again, Marco's mom. She's in prison. Gail is supposed to hunt everyone down, and I liked how. What I got from that was Clara's in prison, and we see a prison guard come up to her, and they have a tattoo of what's that author's
Oswald.
name? Yeah,
Yep.
Heist, Oswald Heist. Yeah, and it makes me think that she's got a lot
Running
of
the
people.
prison.
Yes, and I think we're going to see her kind of start a revolt and kind of escape eventually. And I mean, she's got to meet back up with her granddaughter, I assume.
There were also some suspiciously wiped files.
What did you think that didn't Gail say that Heist has like accusations against him, that he was actually kind of like a scumbag? I thought that was interesting that they put that in there. I think like a sexual, like assault type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was the author trying to say like even people who you think are good even have, or if it's Gail just making up lies.
I
It could
wouldn't
be
trust
him.
anything Gail says.
Yeah, it could be him making up lies. I mean, this guy he's obviously not normal.
What makes you say that?
Mm,
Don't yuck anybody's yum.
okay, fine. Although, with Gale, like when he killed the dude, it was like a Mr. Jumpseat or something, the guy who turns Marco's skull into a tracker.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like Gale shoots him, and then he like accidentally also kills a fish, and then he was like more upset about the fish that he killed than
Yeah.
Mr. Jumpseat. I'm just like, wow, you are a bit messed up.
Sociopath.
Very
Yeah.
pretty fish, though. Very
It
colorful.
was very pretty.
I was almost
Sure,
more upset about the fish too.
I was gonna say, I'm sure the magic guy was pretty on the inside.
There you go.
I don't know about that.
Did you guys have any more topics? I got a few, but anything else we didn't hit or parts?
Other than the way that Gail said harder.
Oh dear God.
That's a classic. If you're in that situation, you gotta say that line. It's like it's a that is a obligatory joke.
Oh, is it? I thought it was interesting how Alana's crew and the pirate crew traded crew members.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess like they needed, I don't know, to spice things up for Alana's crew. I don't know.
Mutual poaching.
Mhm.
Well, it means that now Alana's crew has more risk of Hazel being discovered again.
Mm.
as nearly as could have happened when Hazel was going around in a nightie.
Oh yeah.
Well, Hazel did say that the two new people that joined their ship, they're not going to be around long. Could mean anything,
Yeah.
or weren't going to be with them long.
Wonder
Could mean
why.
anything. Yeah.
Maybe Gail's gonna find them and just, do his thing,
I
but
don't
then
know.
he'll get information like, oh, this is where they were last.
I got so many bad vibes from Gail. I can't stress enough how like after reading this, I'm like not at ease at all. That panel where it said we need to kill everyone that Hazel, because that was a big plot point. Like they tell him you have to kill everyone, not just Hazel, but anyone she's ever talked to, and it shows a picture of like Petrior, that one reporter, and for the love of God, Goose. I mean, I just him smiling with his little farmer outfit on.
He doesn't kill Carla though,
because the guard came in. Yeah, he had that like wire right around. I thought he was about to strangle her, and then the guard barges in. I thought he was like putting something on her.
But like, why? Like, he could have just killed all of them, but he didn't.
I guess so. Could he? I don't. Is he that great of a? I guess so. He could
I
just kill.
don't know if he's a mass murderer. He seems more of an assassin.
Okay.
He's not. He doesn't seem like so much of a combatant.
Hmm. Yeah, if it was the will, maybe.
Oh yeah, no. Anything goes for him.
I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit. I like that flashback scene to what the heck's that thing called? Oh, the End Wife, that like disturbing looking abortion wolf. But I really like the conversation, like when you talked about grief and how everyone deals with it. Kind of when she asks about Marco, and Alana just gives her kind of a look, and she has her sympathies. And at the end of it, she says some line like, because we should say Alana gets her wings cut off. That's like why the flashback's there, so she can get rid of her wings to help protect everyone. And the end wife says, a woman who soars even when grounded. And I thought that was, really beautiful. I'm not totally sure what it meant, but I just, it still felt beautiful just in the moment. And she weirdly became one of my favorite side characters, just this creepy looking wolf.
Means Alana's about to get high again.
I thought she was this episode or this volume.
Nah, now she's homeless. Now she's going to get high.
That actually, I mean, that's a great segue to another point. I'll ask all three of you. Is Alana a bad mother after she's been accused by Bombazil?
I think that was a front.
To just get her to leave kind of thing.
Yep, that was a leave me.
Harry Henderson's throwing the rocks to get him to leave.
Oh, what a reference, Mr. Anderson. I love it.
I feel like she's the best mother she can be given the situations.
Yeah.
I guess so. Would you leave your
kids with Goose?
Yeah. Well, Goose, I mean, that's a great parenting
Goose,
choice.
absolutely. I trust him implicitly.
But with the ship of pirates to go on a drug run,
or take the children with you on the drug run,
or just try to find another way to make money. I think he has a point, Bombazil, but also Mr. Anderson's right. I mean, they're not in the best of circumstances. They're being hunted.
They are not
a ton of people.
Yeah.
By the two superpowers.
Yeah, and just. Yeah, everything. But it was interesting her to be confronted with that. And like you said, Kip, I don't think that's going to be great for her psyche, even just hearing it out loud. And if she goes back to drugs, I wouldn't be surprised because of stuff like that.
And there was the bit about the government being responsible for the bad batches of flashback.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That was interesting.
And why did they do that? Because they wanted more people to
sign up for war.
Right, to sign up for war, yeah. That's the government for you. It doesn't change wherever you are, huh?
I guess one main question is like, what is the benefit to the superpowers for like keeping this war going? Like, is it money? Is it like so that they can remain in power? Because peace, if there were peace, then they would no longer be needed. Like, what's the
Seems
real
like
motivation?
hatred and pride.
Yeah, because like the lady that threatened Gale was like, well, she's an idea, right? Like, we need to kill this idea because if people start understanding this idea is real and can be achieved, our way
Yep.
of life ends.
Right. They don't want to create that empathy between two different races, that they can see that people with differences can, start a family. They'd rather have it this way, segregated and at war. Like you said, what that reason is it because of money or is it because of just straight hatred? Oh, people, their
Yeah.
pride and hatred. I don't know.
But then they have like this weird alliance with the robot kingdom, It's like not quite sure. At least to me, I'm not quite sure really what the motivation is.
Me, it almost feels like, well, this is how we've always done it, and we're in power, so this is how we have to do it. That there's just this. It's just how things are done, and they do with these alliances because that prolongs it.
Okay.
I will admit that stuff, like I appreciate when they have that, obviously the politics, because it's usually in the background, but they'll insert stuff like that. But it's always the least interesting to me, other than when it directly involves Marco and Alana, kind of the Romeo and Juliet thing. But for the most part, I'm just like, I don't know, they all hate each other and they don't like the spawn of children that was created. But and before we go, there is one kind of thing, a scene. I think it ended the second to last volume that we didn't really discuss. So at the end of number 59, I think, if we find out that Squire has like a crush on his sister, and I don't know where you guys think this is going, but it definitely feels like there's going to be animosity between both of them going forward in the long run. They're playing a game together, and Hazel said it's not the last time they play this game, but with bigger stakes.
Yeah.
And Squire, I'm just getting Squire. I don't want to say incel vibes, but I'm interested in what they do with that character, like where how he deals with either getting turned down by his sister he's in love with, and just not for his fault. He has gone through a lot, but I'm interested in that relationship.
Well, I mean, she is his sister, not by blood, and like for him, I mean, from what we've seen about the Robot Kingdom, they're pretty open with their sexuality. So I don't know if that's just like his race and they just develop faster in that way. And Hazel's like, no, I'm still like, I'm not ready for that kind of stuff. You're my brother. I would not. Ew, yuck. So
I am still very interested in how exactly the robot race grows and matures. and
just
how
grow
exactly
taller.
one becomes to have a like 82-inch flat screen for a head.
You go to Best Buy and then
And do you add screen size like 1 pixel at a time? Does you like wake up with more pixels?
Maybe there's growth hormones. I don't know.
I think it was a joke, but Alana told him to brush his teeth or something, and I was like, "What? Where is his teeth?"
Yeah, where is his teeth?
Uh-huh.
And how do drugs work on him?
Well, I mean, they bleed. They've got organs and stuff, so they must
definitely have organs.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we saw many.
Yeah.
All right, so let's end it with predictions, since now we're all caught up at the same pace. I think this year they're going to be going through not volumes. What do you call it when it's issues? Yeah, issue by issue. I think, are we all going to have a pact?
Already started.
Yeah,
I haven't read them, but I think like the next issue's already out.
Yes,
Volume 11 came out on the 25th of January. The chapter 61 came out.
61, yeah. I think Brian K. Vaughan on the Saga subreddit just said they like sold out and they have to order more issues. They weren't prepared for how many.
Wow.
So I think a lot of people have, like, since they've caught up, they're starting to read via issues now instead of volumes, like, you know.
Oh.
So
Probably thanks to podcasts like ours.
I
Subscribe now wherever you get your podcast.
I don't want to give us the bulk of the credit, but maybe 85%, I think we can. Yeah. All right. So does anyone have any predictions to see? Could be anywhere, small, big, anything that they think might happen in the next volume or the next 20.
Robot goes home. Squire goes home.
I'm kind of assuming Squire's going to be the next king.
I got
And
that vibe
that's going to
too.
be part of the when Hazel was talking about the conflict between them. That's going to be a big part of it.
Yep.
Definitely got that vibe, especially because they kept saying they wanted to hide his royalty and stuff like that. I think his royal blood definitely comes up. Which, if we get to see more of Grandpa big screen, that'd be great.
He's not great about hiding his colors, so
That's true.
I'm gonna predict, because there's always
Goose lives.
I don't even want to jinx anything with that cute devil. I'm going to predict a turn for Agent Gale, and eventually he will end up either saving Hazel in something or going to her side. Bold take, but
I'm on board for that.
yeah.
I'm fully on board for that take.
I would like that to be the case, yes.
Because I like Agent Gale.
Any particular reason?
He's a secret police member, and he flies around the place. He's disobedient and aggravating, and I don't know, gay.
Panda, any predictions?
I'm really bad at predictions. I don't know. I guess Bombazine will. I think he's gonna die, but before he dies, he's probably gonna like get some sort of redemption or something.
Yeah, there's no chance Bombazil lives longer than like 6 episodes,
No.
6 issues or volumes.
He's got one of those little countdown timers above his head.
he
right now.
definitely has one of those countdown timers.
Uh-huh.
But we'll see who kills him. Will it be Hazel?
Nah, I don't think it'll be Hazel. I do want that Bombazine and the Will showdown, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Will could definitely kill him.
How much longer
Because
can
the
he
Will
live?
kills everyone.
Yeah.
How much longer can the Will live? Until the end of the series.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Gwendolyn can also go down the toilet.
Oh yeah, I'm out on Gwendolyn.
She's also going to last till the end of the series.
I feel like Gwendolyn's going to get hers sooner. Not
Maybe-
not as soon as Bombazil, but
Just a funny name too, Bombazil.
I think it's Bombazine?
Oh,
Yeah, it's Bombazine.
Well, in honor of him, we're butchering his name.
I just
and
call
real
him
quick,
Boz. It's easier to keep track of.
real quick, we didn't see if you want to bring up anyone you were disappointed we didn't see. I was going to say Sophie, who's at school, I believe.
Oh, yeah, Sophie.
When you said Gwendolyn's going to die, I'm like, maybe Sophie will kill her. That could be cool. But we didn't get to see her. I miss her. Obviously,
She needs to
Goose.
grow up.
Yeah. Well, she's getting an education. She's.
What kind?
I know. That's a good point. All right. Well, we did it, guys. And we're all promised we won't read any issue until the volume comes out this fall. No fingers crossed.
Okay.
Thank you guys for listening. Remember, please go to our Discord, or the Legendarium's Discord. It's not our Discord. And listen to the Legendarium episodes. Thank you, Craig, for letting us play in your sandbox. Thank you for Horizon Brave for starting this shindig. And for Panda, Kip, and Mr. Anderson, I am Yettibeats, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.